So, I mean, how would you say that this defense compares with, say, the 2010 defense, the 2012 defense, even the 98 defense, even though I know it's before your time?
Yeah, it was. It's just different. When I came here in '99, a lot of those guys on that '98 Super Bowl team were still there. It was Travis Hall and Shane Dronett and um, what's the guy's name? Cornelius Bennett and Keith Brooken and Jesse Tuggle. It was a downhill, beefy, big old, strong son of a guns getting after you. Chuck Smith. I mean, every time you turned around and saw somebody new, it was they were bigger and stronger than the last guy you saw. But now, the way this team has gone, the way they've been built under Dan Quinn, it's all speed. It's all speed and a little bit of girth on the interior. But even the girth inside is going to be fun to watch. We talk about Dontari Poe and Grady Jarrett, with the quickness of Grady Jarrett, who is just, in my opinion, going to be lights out this year. It's night and day from how it was built back then to what it is now. We got bigger, longer corners, I think, with Trufant. Alford's a little smaller, but his athleticism and speed is unmatched, really, across the NFL. When you get guys that athletic and quick, you take advantage of them. A thumper in the back end, which it was a thing, kind of a throwback when you talk about Keanu Neal. Trying to think of guys I played with. Marty Carter, when I first got here. A lot of guys might not know that name, but Marty Carter had a head like a brick, and he was probably 6'1", 215 pounds, but he ran right through people and reminds me a lot of what Keanu Neal does now, and we had missed that for a long time. William Moore was like that, but he was so banged up because he played so ruthless and relentless, and his body couldn't really hold up. But now you got a guy like Keanu Neal, who not only has the athleticism and the speed, but also that physicality you're looking for. So the biggest difference between some of the teams I played with early on, I guess, the size. But nowadays, with all the guys you got to cover in the slot, and athletic tight ends, Dan Quinn understands what he's got and what he's trying to build with Thomas Dimitroff. And they've gone all speed, all run and hit guys, and it's been really fun to watch.
Brian, I am old enough to remember Marty Carter. He's a former Bear, so that it makes sense that there's a little bit of karma there.
He's the first guy I met when I got to Atlanta in December of '99. I don't know if they brought him in or he had a doctor's appointment at the time, but he picked me up at the airport with our driver, and I got to drive back to Suwannee at the time with him. Really good guy. Enjoyed being around him, and like you talked about, just a full-on thumper.
The thing that people have been talking about, at least with the national media, and I'm sure quite a bit with the local media, which you are a part of, has been talk about the Super Bowl hangover. Do you buy into that sort of notion of this team heading into the season having sort of whatever you call that hanging over their head?
Super Bowl hangover, not for this football team. It's just, I don't think it'll exist. I just think the way they're built, I think I was listening to a couple guys on the radio today, Chuck and Chernoff, here in Atlanta, and I can't remember how many guys we had picked up from our cuts, but I think we were tops in the league, 6, 7 guys picked up and put on other squads, which tells you that we got a roster full of guys that fly around and like playing football and are really good. So our roster is built to succeed, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
So when a lot of people talk about the Super Bowl hangover, they talk about the attitude of the team. So I know you played with Matt Ryan for a couple of years. Do you believe he's got that kind of leadership, the attitude that he can exude with the rest of the roster to where it just prevent all of it?
Yeah, for sure. We talked to Matt, this morning on our show, and Sandra Golden asked him the exact same question. He just gets it. He's got it from day one when he came in from BC, and the Super Bowl hangover is not going to exist because you got a guy like Matt Ryan who's not going to complete 52% of his passes like Cam Newton did last year. We got a running game that is a two-headed monster and are young and spunky, and we got a tight end that's going to explode this year as well, I think. The Super Bowl hangover, I think, hits teams that lose a lot of guys in free agency, hits teams that are a little older, which the Falcons were. I think they were, if I'm not mistaken, they're the oldest roster in the NFL last year, and it was kind of skewed because of Shabby and Matt Bryant. but it was an old roster that they've continued to try to turn over and make younger, and they think they've moved up to 24th or 23rd oldest roster this year. But again, those guys still skew that number because they're old in the tooth and long in the tooth and do that. But we're too young, we're too good, we got too many guys coming back. I mean, you look at the wide receiver core, the only thing that changed was Eric Weems and Andre Roberts. Everybody else is the exact same for the most part. And when you get a youthful defense like we've had last year, with another year under the belt, that the hangover, the Super Bowl hangover for the Falcons is going to be non-existent. I'm excited, and I think the team is too, to get back on the field for real in Chicago. And I think we'll see it right away.
I think something else that also skewed that age thing was the depth. You had guys like Sean Weatherspoon who were, 29 years old. You had guys like Tyson Jackson who was getting up there. He was like 31, 32. So, I mean, that'll skew it a little bit too.
Yeah, no doubt. But we've gone a little bit different route this year, so we should be good.
Brian, I'm curious, do you feel like the team needs to come out to sort of put that whole notion of the Super Bowl hangover to bed and have sort of a statement win, or do you just believe a W is a W? It doesn't matter how you get it.
You just got to win on the road. In football, man, NFL, you just got to find a way to win. I mean, we saw that time and time again. College season kicked off this weekend, man. You just got to figure out a way to win. Some teams beat some heads in, and other teams squeak by the skin of their teeth. So it'd be nice to go out there and win by 10, 14 points, double digits if you can in Chicago, a team you're probably better than on paper. But when you go on the road, and we talked about this my whole time I played, and just about every head coach I played for had pretty much the same sentiment. You want to try to win all your home games, which is probably not going to happen, but you want to try to go 8-0 at home, and then you want to split the road games. That puts you at 12-4. If you slip up a little bit, you're 10-6, and you're still in pretty good shape to make the postseason. So starting off in Chicago on the road before you come home against another tough team in Green Bay on a Sunday night to open your stadium, just get a win. And the ball bounces crazy ways, tip passes, crazy fumbles, whatever. It can go for you, it can go against you. So just find a way to win and get home 1-0 and see if we can continue the trend.
So ideally, if the Falcons start 2-0, beat the Bears on the road, which I don't think the Bears are that good this year, and then beat the Packers to open the season, that's more the statement that they need to make than just beating in ahead of the Bears.
Yeah, you want to come home 1-0, and then you got a real test against Green Bay, who try to get better this offseason and with some different free agent moves and their draft picks and everything else. They still got some young guys in the cornerback position and the defensive backfield. I think that you can go after when they do come in here on Sunday night, that second week of the season. But yeah, come back home 1-0, and then get a real test against Green Bay. Which, listen, Green Bay is going to be a playoff contender like they are every single year with Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. And if you play well, and the last thing you want to do is lose at home in your first game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but that's a tough matchup for any team in the NFL right now.
So, kind of pointing out places that the Falcons could attack the Packers, is there any spot on the Falcons that kind of concerns you heading into the season?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Defensively, I still get nervous when we play teams like Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and quarterbacks like that can kind of take advantage of matchups. We saw what happened in the Super Bowl when you kind of can pick on some guys. Jalen Collins in the slot was a bad idea. You don't have that problem anymore. You got guys like Brian Poole that'll be in the slot, and Ricardo Allen could come down a little bit. Tight end matchups scare me every time for some reason. It just seems like the Falcons get burnt by tight ends every time you turn around. I hope that's not the same this year, but they do. So really athletic, good tight ends scare me. But other than that, man, the team is solid all around. There's nothing that really bothers me. I guess you could point to a young right guard in Wes Schweitzer who gets a start the season for the Falcons. Other than that, nothing really. I'm not nervous about a position. I don't think we're weak really anywhere, and I feel good about where we're headed.
Let's talk about Sark. That's been another topic of great discussion this offseason. How much do the Falcons lose with Kyle Shanahan going to San Francisco? How much do they potentially gain with Steve Sarkisian taking over play calling duties? As someone who played under multiple head coaches, under multiple offensive coordinators, what is maybe a firsthand account of some of the challenges that face a team as they adjust to a new play caller?
So verbiage is a big part of it, but you can take that right out of the mix because Matt Ryan and Dan Quinn were smart enough to go, all right, let's bring somebody in that'll adjust to our verbiage and our language, which is really one of the tougher things. I think there was a tweet out this morning I retweeted on Twitter at Beefin86 where they had Sean Payton calling in plays to Drew Brees in his headset. And, I mean, if you don't know football and you never heard that system before, you thought it was Chinese, and you start wondering how the heck he can memorize all that and repeat it into the huddle as quick as he does and get it in and out. That's just repetition and OTAs and training camp and mini camp and double days and film and everything else. So you just study it so much and you get it down pat that is not an issue. So that's not an issue with the Falcons because they kept the same system. I guess Kyle Shanahan was so good at dialing up the right play at the right time. It was insane, his ability to foresee certain coverages and understand what teams are going to do based on certain looks and get guys like Patrick DeMarco open in the flat. Toy Lolo open 40 yards down the field, nobody around him. Those are some of the guys in ways that Shanahan was able to do. So I am really excited on Sunday to see some of those same plays come to fruition. I think the first touchdown of the preseason, Matt Ryan's first drive, they had a very similar play where I remember Kyle Shanahan running where it was a fake toss left and Matt just rolled out to his right and hit Devontae Freeman in the flat, and nobody was around him. He walked in the end zone. And I was like, all right, Sark can do the same things, call the same plays that Shanahan was doing, and they haven't shown us hardly anything in the preseason because you don't want to. So with a new offensive coordinator, it's usually verbiage and learn a new system, but that's not the case this year. It'll be more about Sark and Matt communicating on the sideline in between series and figuring out what works and what doesn't, which is fantastic. So I don't see it being an issue. Going back to a question you got earlier about maybe weaknesses, I have no idea what to expect out of our fullback position. I really don't. It'll be interesting to see how much they use him and get him going and in the passing game, and then lead blocking in that zone scheme too. So that's one of the spots you can probably look at and go, what's going to happen there?
But that guy's only going to play like 15% of the snaps. So is it that big of a deal?
What did DeMarco play when he was here? Was it upwards of 30 or was it?
DeMarco played around 30, but I don't know if Sark. I think Sark's going to run a little more three tight end or three wide receiver or two tight ends,
which is fine with me. Yeah, and I hope you're right. But it was effective when Shanahan used it all over the field.
Definitely. Brian, looking ahead to this Sunday's game, is there any part of looking at this Bears team that says this is maybe a strength of theirs that you're looking to see maybe how the Falcons sort of match up, maybe with that running game with Jordan Howard and that offensive line that's considered one of the better units in the league?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they do and how they come downhill at us and how we're able to hold up. I think picking up Dontari Poe was humongous, and I'm telling you, Grady Jarrett's going to have a great year, so I think they'll be able to hold their double teams that they get, hold up guys, and then let the linebackers fly around. Deion Jones and Duke Riley and Devondre Campbell as well. If those guys hold up and don't get pushed off the line of scrimmage, I think they'll be all right. I'm not a huge offensive lineman connoisseur in the NFL, so I can't tell you exactly what these guys bring to the table, but I've heard that they're solid. They're going to force the run down your throat. Jordan Howard had a big year last year. He's a load to take down, so it'll be interesting to see what they do there. So Kevin White, we've been waiting for him to break out as a receiver, but I like our chances in the defensive backfield, and we'll see. But yeah, I think they're going to try to pound the rock and see which way they go. Mike Glennon gets a start, so he's been around. He gets it. He can spin it a little bit if he needs to, and it'll be a good matchup for our defense. But I think we're a better football team. And then I think they run a 3-4 up there with some really good outside kind of rush outside linebackers for Chicago. When you talk about Willie Young and Pernell McPhee, who's supposed to be looking pretty good right now. So those are some guys that Ryan Schrader and Jake Matthews will have to be concerned with.
I have a hard time disagreeing with that. I'm worried about the outside. I'm worried about their outside linebackers. I know Matthews and I know Schrader are some of the better tackles you'll find in the league, but I do worry about how well they can handle that combination of Floyd and Young or Floyd and McPhee, because that is one of the better pass rushing groups I think we faced this year.
Yeah, Leonard Floyd was impressive last year. Didn't play in a bunch of games, and I think he snuck up on, I don't know if he had 7 or 9 sacks on the season, Leonard Floyd. So, yeah, and good inside linebackers in Freeman and Trevathan too. So, listen, everybody keeps talking about how this is a 6.5 point spread, but you go on the road anywhere in the NFL, it's tough to win ball games. And these guys get paid too, and they're all NFL football players. So it'll be very interesting to see how we use them, how we go against them. Does Sark use that play action pass like Shanahan was able to, and use their speed against them a little bit, and try to help out our tackles with some of those good pass rushers? So we'll have to wait and see what happens with those guys.
All right, well, let me just see real quick. I do agree that we do have to kind of see what goes on with Sark, and hopefully they run a little bit more right at those guys, because that makes it tough. Let me see if there's any questions in here. Not seeing anything there. So I did want to thank you for coming on the show. It looks like Aaron's having some technical difficulties right now, so thanks for coming on again. You got anything you need to plug? Or
no, I'm good.
I'm
good.
We can find you.
Where are you guys all at? Where's everybody located?
I'm here in Atlanta. Aaron is out in Raleigh. Either Raleigh or Durham. But that area. And then our producer Brian's up in let's say Boston.
All right.